You'll need ink, a skinny brush, something like a palette or something flat to put the ink in. It's nice if it has a bit of an edge, so some type of container. So these jar lids are perfect, but it will be quite watery. So it's not like paint where it stays. It needs something to sit in, like a dish or something. Make sure it's a dish that you feel like you will never use again, because this ink it doesn't come off very much. So
set in your bead.
And maybe grab a pencil as well for your normal
Side mommy in your bead.
sketch. I'll give everybody just a minute to find their materials.
And the ruler, can you put the ruler in the middle?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
did you want them to have a glass of water?
So you could sit in your bead.
And just a glass of or jar of water.
Okay, just leave everything there.
Okay, I'll give everybody a second. I'm actually going to fill up my water bottle.
So can somebody tell me what kind of paper were you using? The same paper that we used to do the acrylic art?
Yeah, you can use that paper. You can use just any paper is okay, but what helps is if you tape it down to the table.
Okay,
so
all right.
If you see
So
this one,
so it doesn't move. Okay. I see that you have three brushes or one pencil or something. So we have to have different size of brushes, or do we
only need one.
Only need one.
Yes, you only need one. Just any.
We only need a thin one.
Yeah, any skinny thin brush. You only need one.
Thank you.
There's so many here. I can take them out. You don't need them.
Yeah. I think May is very good. I'm putting all the ink into a jar that can stay there, so we don't need a dish. I don't think.
But
Right? It's stable enough, so we can just dip it in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, May. I don't have to look for
So we don't have to look for a dish to put it in. We can if we wanted to. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, add some more. Would that fall over?
Actually, because of the container we have, we can use the lid as a dish. Actually, I just pour some onto my lid. I can use that.
Yeah, you can use the lid.
Yeah. So that's okay. That's good. Yeah.
I like to use the lid of the actual ink as well.
So that's the picture we are going to draw.
I know it looks very difficult. However,
yeah, it looks difficult.
We will simplify it down. First,
Okay.
let's draw a box. So we'll do something simple first, and then we'll go into this. I'll teach you guys how to simplify the landscape. So if everybody has their supplies, if you do not, please speak up right now so I can share my screen with you guys. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay. Okay, so this is the final project that we'll be working on today. I don't think we're gonna draw the people in there, and the buildings will simplify everything down. So you guys can take a picture really quickly. Just give everybody a minute to do that.
Oh,
This is not my photo. So this is pulled off I think City of Calgary website, just to let you guys know. Okay, I think everyone has taken a picture now, hopefully. If you haven't, if you need more time, let me know right now, please. If we're good to go. So I'll teach you guys how to simplify the picture so that it's something like this. So today, I think we will only get to doing the outline. It will be, with ink, you can make it as complicated or simple as you want. So our ink will probably look something like this, not with the color. The ink is not much different than painting, for example, like watercolor. You just work in layers and you start with the lightest shade first. It's like watercolor, but only in black and white. Okay, so the first thing I think we're doing, we'll do a quick cube exercise. Let's see if I can. Oh, I still screen share. Okay, there we go. Move this. Okay, so hopefully everybody has taped their paper down. If you guys have a scrap piece of paper, or you can even do this on the side of your paper, any scrap piece of paper, you don't have to tape it down. Like even a loose leaf sheet or some newspaper or something, so you can just get a feeling of how the ink works on the page. Okay, once everyone has their scrap paper, I think what we'll do is just create a very basic cube. So for the cube, you want to make four points on your page in the shape of a box. So if you guys can see that, that's very light. I don't know if you guys can see that. Here, I'll make them darker. There we go. Like that. So it's like imagine a square, right? And then after you create 4 more dots. It's like you're moving the square over here. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. 4 more dots. Make them a little bit. Make the other square a little bit smaller. Something like this. So this square behind it is a little bit smaller than our original square. And all we're going to do now is connect the dots. I'm just using the ink straight right now. I haven't diluted it or anything. I'm just dipping the brushing and using it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. We're just getting a feel of how the pigment moves on the page. You can connect the other lines so you have a transparent box if you want, but if you don't want a transparent box, then you don't have to do that. Right, so now we have a basic box. I don't want a transparent box today. I guess my box would just have a dot. Okay, so right now, so one of your box surface is always going to be the darkest one. So you will have one that's light, you will have one that's the darkest, and you will have one in the middle, usually when you can see three sides. So what we're going to do is start with the lightest one. So let's assume the light source is coming in from over here. So this is where the sun, you guys don't need to draw this, but I'm just demonstrating. Let's assume there is the sun coming in from this, like this side of the box. Then your darkest side would be the opposite of the light source. And your lightest would probably be right here. This one, or even this corner up here. So let's start with diluting our ink. That's where you grab your tray. Here, I'm going to use this one. And at this point, you want more, the ink is very saturated. So at this point, you want more water than ink. So it's like a very light wash. You only need a drop of ink. And you can play with it until it gets to like a gray. Okay, there we go. Now it's diluted, and what you can do is, this brush is too small for me. Right? You just go ahead. Oops, sometimes the side is not dried yet, so that's okay. I usually like to do the outlining fast. I'm just coloring the surface of the box. Oops, I made this one too dark. That's okay. There we go. Okay. So once you color in the surface of the box, this is not supposed to be here. The ink bled on my page, but anyway, you can add a little more pigment into this mixture so it gets a little bit darker. Okay, we're going to use that, the slightly darker pigment. Don't add too much, because you still have your darkest side over here. And then with this one, we're going to, those look the same to me. Make sure that there's like a discernible difference between this one and this one. Okay, there we go. The goal with the ink wash is just to try not to have all of the colors look the same, because it is grayscale. This is being wonky. Okay, something like that. And then when you are finished with that, you can go ahead and use a dark, here, mix more pigment into this, and you can add it to the last surface. Again, make sure that it's darker than the other surface. I don't think we're going to worry about refracted light or anything right now, just drawing a box. And with the remainder of that, you can create a shadow. The shadow is just really like a oblong blob behind, depending on where my light is coming from. I wonder if it would be this way. I guess it depends. It depends on the angle of where your light is hitting. So there we go. We create a shadow. Something like that. This corner, I'm going to make it darker, and then make this one right here, this edge. Okay, once your box is somewhat finished, you can add a background if you want. I will make a table. The one thing that's annoying about ink is you have to wait for the first layer to dry, usually, before you start the second layer. So sometimes I'll be carrying like a hair dryer to try to get it to dry faster. Okay. That's the table over there.
Go in your baby.
All right, does anyone have any questions? If not, that's okay. So give everybody a minute to finish their cube experiment, and then we will start with the actual project. I'm not quite sure if we can finish all in today, but that's okay. So when you're working, you will notice that you only need the smallest amount of ink. One bottle can last a very, very long time. You only need a drop, especially if you're using India ink. This stuff is very pigmented. Okay, we'll give everybody another minute to finish up this experiment, and then we will go on and tackle this guy. Okay, so if you guys want, you can put your cube away. Maybe keep the paper around so you can use it to test your ink later on. I think today we will only get to doing the outline, but we'll see. Okay, so I'll put this away up there. Oh, my ruler. So when we look at something like this, immediately we think, oh my goodness, where do I even start? That looks so complicated. But the trick is to break it down into the various components that exist here. So the first thing I would do when I see this is I would just create the horizon line right here. So if you see the horizon line, it's a little covered by the buildings, but it's about halfway through the page, just a straight line. So with your pencil, almost halfway through the line, it's a little bit lower than halfway. It doesn't need to be perfect, so we're just going to draw out the horizon line. I don't think I'm going to bother with any of the intense perspective stuff today. I think we'll just take it easy and do a sketch. Okay. Hopefully that is visible for everybody. Okay, the next thing I like to do is focus on the large objects in here. So I'll probably ignore those buildings until the very end. I'll look at the things that are in front of me first. So there's this massive bridge, and you can break it down into the shapes that it's comprised of. So it's really just like a shape like that. If you want, what you can do is draw a vanishing dot. So imagine that these lines converge together at one dot in the distance, somewhere over here. You can draw the dot and use that to help you draw your lines. So if I do that, it will be somewhere around here, something like that. Maybe more over here, right? And then I will take my ruler and I'll just draw the line. It's about there. So it comes up over the corner of the page. So I'm talking about this line right here, right? The one, not the uppermost one, but the one that's just the base of the bridge. And then for my other one, my other line comes to about the middle of the page. So it's about here. Right, something like that. Oh, that's very light. I'll draw it darker so everyone can see. Okay. Yeah, something like that. So this shape right here, it ends about here. So it doesn't actually go down to that dot in the distance, but it sort of ends like around here. Okay. So at this point, you have the basic shape for this bridge, the base of the bridge. And for the walls of the bridge, you can continue to use the same dot. So maybe something like this. Honestly, it's not the biggest deal. You can just eyeball it however you see fit. Sounds like that. Okay. So now you have your bridge coming out, and you notice there's two lines in the middle, and you can just add those in. They kind of come over here. This one line, two lines. There we go. Okay, so at this point, you can sketch out the rest of the river bend over here. This one's just approximation, just approximately. It's like this. There's a little nook in there, and then it bends over here. Okay. And it goes like, kind of like this. Okay, so now you have your ground set out, something like that. Okay, so once you sketch out the bottom, you can feel free to add whatever details you want with your pencil if you want. If you want to draw the shoreline or anything, that is okay. So I'll add a shoreline. The beach area gets skinnier as we get farther away. Don't worry about the trees or any of the things over there right now.
What's in your feet? It's cool.
Okay. And once you guys are finished with that, we'll start by doing this big red thing, this scary looking spider thing. So it forms a type of arch. I think it makes sense to start from this shape right here, the furthest arch. So also this will be quite an approximation. I don't really, not going to be very specific here, but the shape of the arch is actually kind of funny. It's like a shape like this. It's not actually perfect. It's almost like an egg. And the top of the arch should come up to about half the page. So if you look at your page, it should come up to about here, approximately there. I think the shape is flatter than the one I've created. Okay. Something like that. Okay, now I'll create the band right here. It kind of goes like this. Okay, and on the other side, just like an arch, right? I think this one actually it goes to the same horizon dot as these things. So if you guys drew that dot before that we followed to get all the other lines, I'm pretty sure this one actually follows the same one. So around in the middle of the arch, somewhere around here, it's a little more to this side. You can line up straight edge, and actually it's way over here. Yeah, it's over here. Okay. This line is this one right here at the very, very edge. So it's going to be here. The actual one has a bit of a curve to it, but you can add that if you would like later. And let's draw the other side of this thing. There we go. It comes to be some type of, almost like a beacon. And the middle part. If you want, you can make this little divot area in the middle, but you don't have to. You can just leave it a simple line if you want. Okay. So then you get something that looks like this. I better finish the rest of this one. So, okay. And then I will bring this line all the way down. I know this area is very confusing to look at, but it's just the structure of the bridge. These things are just crosses, if you can see it. Although it is a little bit confusing. Okay. So we brought that line down. That's actually this one and this one. Okay. Now to continue with building the rest of the bridge. So the way that you can see it, you can see these things as just one line, a simple line. Just don't think about the 3D formation yet, right? So to create this, let's start from this side of the bridge, the very back, and work our way up towards the front. So first, I'm going to create this line. Okay. That's that line right there. And then there is another intersecting line up here. You can see it. It connects to this big spine. About here. And it intersects with this line, forming a cross. So I'll actually mark the area where it intersects. Draw the line. And I just connect them. It's actually more curvy than I've made it, but that's okay. Okay. And you have another one that goes off over there somewhere in the distance. Don't care about that one too much. And then you have this one and this one. So you only have two more lines on this side. This one right here disappears into the vanishing point that you created. So there's our point. I'll line up my ruler and create the steel rod. Okay, there is the steel rod. Then I will take here, intersection, another one is here, and it comes out of this little corner right here. So I'll mark the place where it intersects and just connect the lines. There we go. Now you can see we have created the basic foundation for this side of the bridge. We'll just do the same thing on the other side. later we can go in and make the 3D objects. For this one, let's make it easier for ourselves and draw in this steel rod. Again, it connects to that point in the distance. So you line your ruler up and it comes about almost halfway on the page, a little more than halfway, somewhere around there. Okay, and draw your other line for the steel rod. Once you're finished with your steel rod, this is confusing to look at. I think we'll do this big arch right here. So it corresponds with this line right here. This line actually, if you can see it, it arches all the way across the page. So if you find that line right there, it would end about here. So if you imagine that it intersects here, and what it does is it arches across. It ends about there. So this one. Draw the big arch across the page. Okay. I'll get rid of this one. Don't think we need this anymore. Once you finish your large arch, we'll do this one, this line here. And then we'll connect it to the rest of the things. I think that makes it a little easier. So this line comes around over here. And let's see. There are two crosses. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Then once you're done with that one, you'll create the one that intersects with it right here. That one connects with this line. And it comes down like this. So like this. Okay, and on this side, you only have one more line. Your last line, let me see. Actually, I think you only have one more, right? Yeah, you only have one more. We'll cross with this one that we already drew. And it comes up to connect with this one. Intersects right here, this one, and it comes to connect with the top. Okay. Give everybody a moment to catch up. I know this part is a little confusing, but that's okay. Yeah. Okay.
Cần khất thầu à? Hả?
Okay, just ignore the buildings for now, unless you want to sketch them in right now, but I always leave that for last. I don't care that much about them right now. Okay, does anyone need more time with this sketch part? If we're all good, I think we can start. We can start with the ink wash. I actually think it will be easier if we don't do the outline right now. I think it'll be easier if we do everything else and do the outline last. So let's do that. Okay, you guys can open up your ink. And when you're working with ink or anything, you should always start with the background first. It's like painting. there's not much of a difference. The background here, there's not much there. It's kind of just a sky. So with this background, one thing with ink is you want to start light, because if you go dark, you can't get light back. But if you start light, you can always go darker. So mix a very, very light wash. My ink already dried. I'm trying to get. So you will mix a very, very light wash for your sky. Okay. If you want, you can test it on your paper. I think I want it lighter. At this point, I will apply it into my sky, keeping in mind that there are some clouds, so that those areas I will just leave them mostly white. It's kind of nice to have a bigger brush for this part, but see, it's very light. You can't see it. It's not actually very dark, so. While I'm doing this, I will just lightly mark where the trees are going to be. Okay. I don't care about the bridge at the moment. The bridge will be darker than the sky, so I have to go back anyway. But I think I will leave that steel rod white. There's a cloud here. And there's some clouds over here. Okay. Over here, there are some reflections. You can choose to add them if you want. Don't need to. Like right here, there is a bit of a shadow. Okay. When you guys are doing this, pay attention to where the glass is on the bridge. So for example, this area right here will actually be lighter because it's in glass. Okay, and just go in and fill in the rest of the area of the sky. It all looks more or less the same right now, but that's okay. And over here, so feel free to make the grass slightly darker. And there's a big shadow over to this side. We'll just fill in the rest of the water quickly. You notice some areas are darker. You can feel free to add those, or we can do it later. Okay, and now time to do the ground of the bridge. So all of it is one color, more or less. Oh, okay. Give everyone a second to catch up. Maybe this one is slightly darker. Ooh, that's very dark. Okay, so if everyone has had a chance to catch up, please let me know if you want more time or if I'm moving too fast. But now we will start making this bridge come out. I think we'll use a medium gray. So the gray will be the same shade of gray I used over here for the shadows, so slightly darker than the sky. And what I'll do first is create the bridge. How to explain this? I'll just pretend, oh, there's a fly. We'll pretend like the whole thing is a shape like this. So it's a little bit difficult to understand. So I'll use the construction lines. So that's that shape right there. The one I've drawn here is wishbone shape. And I'm just going to ignore everything inside. I'll only focus on the two outside lines of everything. So if you imagine these lines, each one as only having only two lines, everything in between, all the shadows, everything in between, ignore that for now. That way you can use your construction lines to build the shape of the bridge. Actually, I'll just demonstrate. I think that will make more sense. Okay, so create a medium gray. That's good. I'm happy with that one. And what you will do is just use your construction lines that you've created already and almost sketch out the rest of the bridge using those lines. ignoring everything in between. So you're just getting this one and that one. You can do the things in between if you like, but if it gets confusing for you, this way is easier. Right, so sketch out the rest of the bridge. In the second line, this one will connect there. This one only focusing on the outsides. Don't worry if it looks a little wonky. I'm sure mine will be wonky too. Okay, and then this one comes over here. And this one. Just act like you were painting. There's not much of a difference here. Okay, and hopefully this makes sense. We'll come around this way. And we'll do the same for the lines on the other side. This one was super wonky. I'll fix it later. So for the other side, same thing. There we go. Okay, once you're done with that, this part is fun. I'm just going to go in and color all of those lines in the same color, another light gray wash. Later, we will go in with darker colors to create the 3D shapes. But right now, I don't care too much. maybe focus on the areas where you see a bit of highlight, and then you do not have to go as dark in those areas. For example, up here, there's a bit of a highlight in this corner. Again, right here, don't really care about the shading part. You can start shading if you want. I'll save it for later. I will mark the shadows on the ground. So one of them passes over like this. Okay. One of them starts around here, where the cross starts. I will ignore the ones made by the people. Just the ones on the bridge. All this really is you just draw a couple of lines across. There we go. So anywhere you see shadow on the bridge, you can just mark it down. Like right here. Oops, that's too dark. Mm. Okay, I guess that is there now. Okay. Can go back and darken the lines after. But for now, that'll do. I'll just give everybody 1 second. Okay, for the last couple minutes, I think we'll have to finish this next time we do ink. For the last couple minutes, I'll just get started on the bridge here. So now we can add all those shadow areas. Why don't we start over here? Make sure it's mostly dry. So you go in with a darker gray. Just make sure it's darker than the bridge already is. There we go. Not too dark. And do this. Make sure you get the little cross right here. And then right here in the little nook, And over here. Just pay attention to the areas where you see shadow, like for example, right here. Remember today it's not outlined, so it looks quite unpolished. Okay, and there. This little crevice here is really dark, as well as this one up here. Oh, and this one here. Just almost like a ladder formation going on in here. Okay, and over here. This line comes down. That's another line. And this one here. Okay, so that's the end of class.